the shoe's finally on the other foot. Remember back to our earlier videos when I was talking about the fact that a DC and you're like, oh, doom and gloom Bob. Right? This is something that I've been afraid of for a long time. Right?
Hey everyone, welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I'm Bueller. Today is episode 80 of the Coffee and Comics Show. Dropping the news since we're on number 80. Why not?
Why
right?
not? Why
there
not?
we go. So, you know what? I'm not alone. I got my good friend Bob here with me. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing swell today, my friend. How about yourself?
I'm doing swell. I mean, I've heard that since I watched Little House on the Prairie. But
There we go. I was watching Little Rascals this week, so it's just kind of coming out, you know?
There you go. Very cool. This is a fun episode. We have a lot of announcements to make in this episode, which are kind of cool. We also have a great subject to talk about. We're going to talk about Diamond. We're going to talk about them being the only distributor in town. They have been for quite a while.
Yeah.
A lot of you guys left your thoughts on that on the preview video from last week. So we're going to talk about that. We'll go ahead and leave a timestamp. So if you want to jump right to that conversation, you can. But if you want to stick around and learn a little bit more about us, please do so. Like I said, we also have some announcements. But we start off with the coffee that we're drinking. Mm-hmm. And we're drinking coffee from none other than Mocha Express, the official coffee shop of Comics with Bueller. Mm-hmm. What are you drinking today?
I'm having a cold brew with some Irish cream sugar-free sweetener inside of it, and it is darn tasty.
Tasty? You always say tasty.
I do, because that's what it's tasty.
Well, there you go. That is good.
Tasty coffee.
Well, I'm drinking a cold drink. I got a caramel frap from Mocha Express. It's actually one of my favorite drinks. It's been raining here in Oregon for like 2 weeks, and today finally it's sunny out.
It's
so
sunny.
You know what? Got me a nice caramel frap. I'm going to take a little... Ooh. It's good.
Foo-foo coffee. You can't go wrong.
Don't call it that. Don't call it that. It's a man's drink.
All right.
You look at this man's drink right there.
Okay. Love that whipped cream there, buddy.
Come on. I want to say thank you to all our patrons who help support the show. We actually have some new patrons. I just want to run them down really fast. We got Jean-Claude, Stephen Levine, Marty Bozan, Jason Champagne. Probably mispronounced all those names, but you know what? Thank you so much for helping out the show. The cost is $3.99 a month on our Patreon. The link is down below. It's the cost of one comic book per month, and it helps keep the show going, the lights on, all that good stuff. So thank you. We'll also run down all the other names on our Patreon at the end of this video. But let's go ahead and get the announcements, because this is pretty cool, and this has been kind of a long time coming, to be totally honest. But this Friday, at 5 or 5:30, I don't know for sure exactly what time, we have a special guest who is going to be on the show, and it's one of our favorite artists, variant cover artists.
Yes.
Shannon Mayer.
Woo!
Finally, he's coming on the show. He's a fan of the show. He has been for a long time. And we set everything up, so he's going to be here. Here's one of his books right there. But he does some of the best variant covers that are out there. And honestly, there's nobody even close to his work to be.
As far as I'm concerned, no.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing what he does. So he's going to come on. We're going to talk about variants. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about some other stuff as well. He's got some other things in the works, and he'll probably talk about that. And Bob's going to join me for a little bit on there, so that should be fun, because Bob's a big fan. He's sent Shannon some money over the years to buy these books, you know.
Absolutely.
So now you get a chance to talk with Shannon, and looking forward to having him on the show. If you have any questions for Shannon, please do me a favor. Leave me a comment down below. If you want me to ask anything, please do so, because you know what? There's probably going to be a lot of information, but the more questions I get, I'll try to ask them for him. It should be a good time, so I'm looking forward to it.
I am so looking forward to this. There's no other cover artist out there that I have set myself to collect every single work they've done. I've got most of everything he's done so far. I can't wait to get the rest of them. I love his work.
That's right. So Friday, 5:30 live stream. Be there. It's going to be a great time. Also, I want to say that one of our other channels are friends of ours, Hero and the Kid, who we've talked about their channel quite a bit. They have a very special guest.
Yes.
And they are doing their first creator interview on next Sunday, the 30th. And none other than Ryan Stegman is going to be on Hero and the Kid. Will, 14-year-old Will, doing the interview with Ryan Stegman, one of the flagship names for Marvel Comics, to be honest, is going to be on Hero and the Kid, and that's pretty cool. So congratulations, Will. If anyone hasn't checked out Hero and the Kid, we'll put a link down below. please check out their channel and tune in on the 30th for that great interview. Should be a lot of fun.
Be a lot of fun. Will, way to go, buddy. That is awesome.
He's pretty excited.
For sure.
They let me know a few days ago. I'm very excited to see how it goes. Will's been doing a great job. So to have his first creator be Ryan Stegman, that's a pretty big name.
That's
so,
huge.
You know what? Sometimes you just can't turn down a 14-year-old kid. It's a lot easier to say no to two dudes like us.
Yeah, exactly.
But apparently he's got a good email and it sounds nice and everything. So way to go, Will. That's going to be cool.
Can't wait.
Another couple really quick announcements. I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who watched the preview video this last week. It's our most watched one ever by a lot. It's over 10,000 views.
Wow.
And it's never gotten 10,000 views. I think the most we ever had before is around 7,000. And it is still going. So, I mean, it is still going. We'll probably finish around 15,000 views by the end of the week.
Wow.
So thank you so much to everyone who's watching that video. People are excited to get comics back.
Yes.
And also, we passed our 1 millionth view here about 3 weeks ago. I forgot to say something about it. But that's awesome. Over 1 million people have clicked play. My apologies, to be totally honest. But you know what? It was a great milestone. We didn't have to make a ton of videos to get that. You know, we only have about 500 videos. We don't put videos out every day or every hour. So a lot of people watch our videos and take the time to do so. So thank you so much, everyone. Over 1 million views and counting.
Just want to say this guy deserves it. You put a lot of hard work in all that you do, man, and you deserve it. So
It is a lot of hard work.
it is a lot of hard work.
We also launched a new video series called What's the Difference? That came out on Friday. That's going to be an ongoing series as well every couple of weeks. So people will really like that. We compared raw books to 9.8s and 9.6s. We're going to tweak it a little bit going forward, but so far the response has been pretty positive. We also have another channel. I just want to tell you guys, my other channel, Travis T. The link is down below. I'm putting out some retro videos of my old videos from like my very first video. I redo them, remaster them, put the music in, and put them out there, and they're cringeworthy. So if you want to see some horrible videos when I first started, they're on that channel. Please do so, Travis T. I'm also putting the start to finish videos on there that show all the covers. Those videos now are all going to be on there going forward. So there you go. But let's go ahead and jump into our first 5.
Sure.
I'll go ahead and start. One of my books right there is Spider-Man #1, the Shannon Mayer cover. Of course, I got to show that. So that's my only Shannon Mayer cover I have.
Really?
Yeah, and that was sent to me from Two Gun Pedro. And, it's one of my pride and joy. So
yeah,
that's my first one. And then I have Creeper #6. Creeper. And then Flash #185.
Nice.
And then we have Alien Nation #1. Remember this?
Yes, I do.
There you go. That's pretty cool. And you know what? You're not the only one. I got a Daredevil #1 annual. Look how cool that is. See, I got Daredevil books. I did give most of them away, but you know what? I got a 1 or 2 here and there.
See, sometimes we can pull people over to the dark side. That is awesome, man.
What, you think Daredevil's the dark side?
Hey, he's one of the darkest characters out there. Just kidding.
Whatever. All right. Go ahead.
All right. I figured I would show some Sabretooth love. This series I came across inside of my box. I haven't read it for a while. But the miniseries that came out during the 90s, Sabretooth #1. Then we got Sabretooth #2.
Nice.
We got Sabretooth #3. I love all these covers. Even on the first cover, when you open the cutout, that's a really nice cover. And then here's #4.
Very cool.
And then to round it out, I picked up another book with Sabretooth on the cover, which is an X-Men cover.
Do you know what his first appearance is?
Yes, it's Iron Fist #14.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
I don't know. He might be right.
And then I got an extra one that I'm going to put up just because we're talking about Shannon Mayer, and I'm so excited. And here is one of my latest covers that I've got of his. That's the Wonder Woman 750 cover, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I know you really wanted that one.
I did.
You were
very
excited.
much so.
When you got that, you sent me a picture. Look what I got.
did.
You do that a lot, actually.
I know. 'Cause I got nobody else to tell. I was like, hey, I'm going to tell Travis.
Oh, there you go.
I still have the Catwoman and the Venom cover on the way.
Awesome.
Can't wait to get those.
Very cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our topic. And our topic that we asked on the preview video was about Diamond. And should there be only one distributor for comics, and just your basic thoughts on Diamond in general. Obviously, that's been in the news quite a bit. Diamond has been shut down, for quite some time, about 2 months. They've restarted shipping. I think last week was the first week, or is it this week? I don't know for sure.
Yeah, that was this week.
This week, there you go. So they're back in business. They're doing some things, and one thing I want to say, when I posed this question, some of the people said, oh, they did the right thing by shutting down. That really wasn't what the question was about. The question was about distributor in general, not just the pandemic, what was happening. They did do the right thing, shutting down what they were supposed to do. So I want to give them credit for that. But we're just talking about them in general and just their thoughts. And should there be more than one distributor? So there you go. So let's go ahead and read the first comment that we have. I think, Bob, you are up.
Yes, I am. All right. So this first one comes from Chad N. He says, I do believe there needs to be more than one distributor. I've been collecting for more than 4 decades and remember back in the 80s, mid-90s, when there was more than one distributor. Capital City, Diamond, and Heroes World. The books seemed to always arrive on time, and because of competition, books were better taken care of in the shipping process. What do you think about that?
I think that damaged books, they kind of mentioned that a little bit, is a problem for almost every single shop. I mean, every single shop hits that issue from Diamond. They give their books, they're delivered, and there's always a handful of books that seem to, did not do well in that shipping process. I don't know what the solution is to, ship, raw floppy books like that in a box. Because let's just face it, the shipping companies, UPS, FedEx, whoever you're delivering them, they don't tend to take care of a lot of packages and stuff. Does that mean that you bag and board all the books, when you ship them out? No, there's no way they can do that.
There's no way they can do that.
There's too many. But, when you look at damaged books, I mean, how many times have you gone in a comic shop and like, oh yeah, we got a bunch of copies and they're damaged?
Yeah. I mean, it happens actually more frequently than we even know. I mean, if you talk to, the people who unbox the stuff that comes from Diamond, they'll tell you, you'd be surprised at how much stuff is actually damaged, how much stuff that actually doesn't make it to the shelves. There's been a couple of cases where we've had pretty high-end or high-visibility books that have had problems. The one that I can think of just recently was Canto. Issue number 1 was one that, was very anticipated. And, most every comic shop that I heard of on that first cover, there were creases in the cover because of the way it was packaged. Right? Another one I just heard about is, Peach Momoko is becoming a very, very popular artist. The new Star Wars Clone Wars, he did a Yoda cover, which is pretty awesome. And I guess there was 1,000 copies. There was a store variant that he did. And 200 of those copies were damaged in shipping.
Wow. And
so that leaves 800 of them that are good. And so, as far as I'm concerned, no, you can't bag and board, but there are things that you can do to ensure that books get there safely if you put your heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
And I think there are some companies out there that would love that opportunity.
Yeah. I know that our buddy Robbie at Pop Culture Philosophers, who, is a manager at a comic shop, he said one time, he goes, it's always my go-to excuse if a book is damaged. Oh, Diamond did it. Whether that's the truth, I don't know, but he said that's always his go-to thing. But I do think that there is a way that they could pack them a little bit better. I think their box quality is better than what it used to be. It's a little bit thicker than what it was.
Sure.
But they do offer for the stores to get their money back, which is nice. But a lot of times they don't have the books to replace.
Right.
So if the books are damaged, they can get their refund. If they have extras, and they'll ship them to them. But if they don't, they just get a credit. And so
right.
A lot of times they want those books to sell because they're books that people want.
Exactly.
So it's a hard place to be in because you try your best to ship them out, the best you can. But really, what are you going to do? You never really know. I hope that in the future that the quality of the product, because I think the product itself is a little bit to blame. Some of them are really flimsy and they just don't, hold up very well. And some are very well done. Some books have a nice, hard, thick cardstock cover, and those tend to take a little bit more damage. They'll be just fine. And some of the Marvel books, let's just be honest, they're like tissue paper. And they don't, they don't hold up very well. So
it's true.
The damaged books is definitely a concern that comes through Diamond, and I don't know if another distributor is the answer to that. I'd like to see a different option.
Right, exactly. I would be interested to see in some of these other options that are starting to come out, whether that's addressed or not.
Yeah. All right, Bob, I think you're up again.
Sure thing. This one comes from Jimmy Williams. Jimmy, thank you. He says, another distributor might be a good thing as far as there being another option than Diamond, but there's no guarantee that they will be any better. Plus, they have to build up credibility with shops and the community. You already know what you're getting with Diamond. Whereas a new distributor could be the greatest thing ever, or it could be the frying pan into the fire. Anyway, glad to see new comics.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see new comics as well. Let's talk about credibility.
Yeah,
that's interesting that he brings that up, because I don't know if their credibility is positive. Let's just be honest. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of issues with Diamond.
Sure.
And that involves credibility. Some of the things that they make stores do to get exclusive variants and stuff like that. And that, to me, hits their credibility. It's not very cool. I don't like it. It's something we've talked about before. How a comic shop has to buy a certain amount of books in order to get the variant, or qualify. Or they have to buy a different title or have a sell-through of a different title to get another title that's not even related,
right,
a certain issue. It's those kind of, let's just say, I don't know, shady or just, kind of negative business practices that I think hurts their credibility in the long run, to be totally honest.
Right. No, I would agree with that. And I mean, say what you want about Diamond, all the way up and down the board. There's a handful of issues that people always talk about, and always seems to point back to Diamond being the culprit inside of those issues. And, because of the fact that they're a monopoly, they can pretty much do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest issue. Nothing has changed for a long time. People have been clamoring for change, and they've gotten the same thing over and over and over again, with Diamond not really doing much different.
Yeah.
So if they felt their credibility was hurting, I don't think that they've done very much to improve that credibility going forward. And I think that's an issue.
Yeah. Do you think they're a scapegoat? Do you think people use them as a scapegoat sometimes?
I do.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think they're the problem for everything.
Yeah.
But I do believe that they're the problem for a great many things, for the comic industry remaining the way that it has for the time period that it has.
Yeah. All right. So I have the next one. Mine is from Ian Williams. I like the idea of more than one distributor. Curious how it would work in practice, though. Will be interesting to see what happens to the two DC have gone to. So DC, as we know, kind of jumped the gun a little bit, and they got two different distributors, one of them being Midtown Comics, the largest comic shop in the world, I believe. I could be wrong. And then another one, I'm not familiar with the name, or just skipping me right now. But I'm curious to see what they do with them as well. Do you think they hold on to those two and use Diamond, or do you think within a matter of months they're just with Diamond?
Well, I mean, we're already starting to see things from DC that lets us know that DC is definitely wanting to go their own way and are making plans to. Normally I'm used to seeing previews come from Diamond.
Yeah.
This week, or just in the last 2 days, they released digitally their preview line, so that you could have all the solicits going on for the next month.
Sure.
DC released that, not Diamond.
Yeah.
So that kind of says something going forward. My thing about this is that because of the fact that there's only been one distributor, I think companies like Marvel and DC have kind of been in a stranglehold for different things that they could do and haven't been able to do. Now, I'm going to say something that might be contradictory to what I normally say.
Sure. You do that all the time.
I do. On my videos, I always say support your local comic shop, and I'm not trying to say that I want the local comic shop to get hurt in this, right? But if everything remains the same, DC and Marvel or any other comic book company has no ability to be able to distribute their comics to any other medium rather than local comic shops, right?
Yeah.
And I think that hurts the industry.
Yeah.
I think that hurts the ability to spread comics out there in more ways than one, so that we get readership.
Yeah.
I didn't come into comics through a local comic shop. I came into comics through spinner racks and newsstands, right? I'd love to see that kind of thing come back again, not to hurt the local comic shop. The local comic shop is what the end result would be. But I think when it comes to having multiple companies, we have more disparity in the comic industry, and I think that creates more readability and brings new readers in.
So what do you think about them going to Midtown Comics? So DC went to Midtown Comics and said, hey, we'd like you to distribute our books. That was raise some flags because, like I said, it's people's competition. It's like you know, I used this reference before. You're asking comic shops to buy from their competitor.
Sure.
You're asking Burger King to buy from McDonald's. You're asking Ford to buy from Chevy. It's that type of thing. You know, they don't want to do it. A lot of comic shops were like, I ain't doing that. Right. I ain't gonna order through Midtown Comics to get my comics. They're a competitor. They're another comic store that has a huge online presence and does other stuff as well. Your initial thoughts when they said, because they didn't really say it was, you had to do a little bit of digging to figure out that it was Midtown Comics.
Sure.
And once you've figured out what it was, then that's when everyone kind of like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not cool.
Right.
So what was your thoughts about that?
So, I mean, really, you know, when it came down to it, you know, I don't have as big a problem with it as as a store would. Right? I mean, a store is going to have, you know, some things to say about it because you're right. It is direct competition. I just want my comic books. Right? But I will have to say this, is that, you know, when this whole thing started to come about that DC was releasing books before Diamond was ready to go.
Yeah.
That first week when DC books came out, we have more comic books stores than most places in the country.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a DC
Nobody
book.
had 'em.
Nobody had them because nobody was ordering them from there.
Yeah.
That bothered me.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was saying we reject this whole thing that DC's doing. And, you know, I mean, that said something.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see how many stores jumped on that, you know, as far as like, oh, okay, we'll order from them.
Right.
Because like you said, I mean, there's like 20 shops here within the Portland area within 20 miles. And nobody got them. Nobody. I mean, I called around. They were doing curbside pickup and all that stuff, but nobody even bothered.
I had to buy digital, my friend.
Oh, you had to bring that up, didn't you?
I did.
You like that new digital-only DC title they just put out?
No, I didn't get that one.
Yeah, look at that. This is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, we got the next one as well. This one is from Steve Johnson. Says, there should be more distributors. Not really sure how it would help the industry, but I am opposed to there being only one game in town. I think Diamond was getting away with things that they wouldn't be able to if there was competition. I agree. Competition keeps you in check.
Yeah.
And if there's nobody to go up against, you're writing your own rule book.
That's exactly right. So you asked me a question a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was even last week, when it came to digital comics. You asked me that would Marvel have moved forward with releasing digital comics if DC hadn't have done it first? Yeah. And my answer was,
it was reverse. It was
whatever it was.
You got it.
But bottom line is that I don't think one drove the other.
Yeah.
I do believe that Diamond started to open things up as soon as they heard that DC was going to start distributing themselves.
Yeah.
I think that they would have waited it out until August before we saw new comic books.
Yeah.
As soon as DC said we're going forward with it, it's like all of a sudden Diamond is popping up. And so yes, competition does keep you in check.
I've heard that people say that, and you know, when you look at it from that angle, you know, and I mean, we're just talking about a little small slice right here, but I think that does have some weight to it. I think that it does. I think the fact that Diamond's like, oh, wait a minute, you know, that's our second biggest account,
right?
And they're saying, well, we're not waiting. We're going to go ahead and do it. And, you know, if there was another distributor out there, like in existence, that was ongoing, there wouldn't be problems like that.
Right.
They would try to outdo the other one or try to have a better deal or the better product. When you're the only product, the quality kind of goes down, you know, because you're not in check. You don't have to worry about it. I'll use a wrestling reference for all things. I mean, I love wrestling.
Come on.
Wrestling was so much better when there was WCW and WWF. So much better, okay?
Absolutely.
Because it was competition.
Yeah.
And they knew it. There's no competition, so WWF or E, whatever you want to call it, man, it went down a lot. It was like, gee, what happened, you know? Nothing to keep them in check. They were the big kid on the block and the only kid on the block. That's kind of the same reference for Diamond. If you're the only game in town, you set your own rules, and nothing keeps you in check. And you do need competition to help the industry in general, in anything, I think, in life. You know,
Absolutely.
I think competition makes everyone better.
It makes a very healthy dynamic in any business.
There you go. I got the next one as well. Look at that, 3 in a row.
Wow.
Yeah. This is from Jay Nunya, I believe. Jay Nunya. TKO Studios already self-distributes their Bleep. Yep. Bad Idea is also not going through Diamond. Maybe other publishers might follow. You can even order comics directly from some publishers already. Okay. So there are publishers that self-distribute their books.
Yes.
I like that, and I think it's a good idea. I know Scout Comics, you can order a lot of stuff through them, and Vault, and a lot of the smaller publishers. The reason why Diamond exists is because, man, that's a lot of accounts for Marvel or DC to have to ship out to all these thousands of stores.
Sure.
And to have that wheel going all the time. So the distributor does that for them. You know, all the accounts, all the monies, and all that stuff. It's simpler for Marvel just to make the books, ship them to them. They take care of all the rest. And that's why there's a distributor. I would love for Marvel to ship out books to comic shops or DC. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that if it does happen, they would just move away from the comic shops. And they would just ship it right out to the customer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But, you know, truth be told, neither DC nor Marvel wants to have that type of overhead.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the only reason why they don't do it. They'd rather pay somebody else to do it. But, you know, one of the things that happened during the pandemic was that, you know, Diamond basically stopped paying everybody that were owed and came up with their own payment plan, which everybody had to abide by. And I think that is another one of the reasons why DC said, we're not doing this anymore. Because if it would have been another distribution company, we may be still getting our money right now. So it doesn't bode well to put all your eggs in one basket in any type of business venture when it comes to that type of thing.
So would you like publishers to self-distribute their titles?
I think in some cases it warrants it, but I think, you know, in the case of somebody like Marvel or DC who hasn't done it for this long, to create that type of overhead for themselves, I think would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
But for a company starting out that says we want to run our own rules, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
You know, because that puts everything in their basket and in their corner. They don't have to pay somebody else, and they're bringing that overhead in the beginning, and I think that's a healthy thing.
Yeah, I think a lot of smaller publishers like TKO, he mentioned, they actually sent me some stuff one time, which are just great books. But I think for the smaller publishers that can manage that, you know, I think it's a great option, you know, because for one, they don't have to split the profits as well, and they can just handle, you know, to their LCSs.
Sure.
Now, the thing is, the LCS, the comic shop, how many accounts do they want to have as well? Do they want to have one Diamond account? They get everything through that. They do all the orders, one thing. It's on one website. They're good to go every week. Or do they want to have 15 or 20? And they have to go through every single one and double check. Okay, what's out this week? What's out this week? What's out this week? On every single account. That's a lot of work for a comic shop.
Well, look, you have convenience on one side or convenience on the other.
We got to paint the whole picture.
This is true. This is true. Somebody's got to put the work in somewhere.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, people who are passionate about it, they're not going to care how many different, you know, sites they got to go to order their books. If they got people paying for them, they're going to put the work in.
There you go. Okay, Bob, guess what? You're up now.
Wow, I got one finally.
Yeah. There you go. You got Backseat Driver, I believe.
All right. Let's see here. Doop, doop. All right, Backseat Driver 5280. Thank you for the comment. He says, so glad new books are back. So am I, buddy. I believe there should be more than one distributor, but honestly, I have no idea what the smart way to do so would be for the new distributors, LCSs, collectors, and the industry as a whole.
I don't know where you begin either. I mean, it's obviously way above my pay grade. You know, how do you just start a distribution service and get the ball rolling from pretty much scratch when there's already someone in town that's been, you know, we use the word monopoly or whatnot, but they have been for pretty much 20 some odd years, if not more.
Sure.
So how do you make that ball roll? How do you get that going? How do you convince, you know, comic shops to use you? Or how do you convince publishers to use you? I don't know. I mean, that's the uphill battle for anyone who wants to take that over. You know, is Midtown a viable option to be a distributor? They have the name recognition, so that's one good thing. Can they handle, you know, shipping that many books across the country, you know, to all the different LCSs and everything? I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they could. And not alone, they have their own business to run.
Sure.
You know, and their own stores and everything. It wouldn't be an easy task. There are other publishers out there or distributors out there that do other types of media in print form that's not comic books.
Right.
They would be able to adopt it and do that, and we'll see what happens there. But a lot of times they have different rules, regulations. A lot of the things with the whole tear the cover off and you get the credit back, that's with the magazine distributors and stuff like that. It would be interesting if that was adopted for comics, if they were to, take that on. Be kind of interesting. That would definitely be something that a comic shop would be like, you know what, that's why I'm going to use them. I can have a credit if they don't sell.
Right.
That's something that we lost out on many, many years
Yes.
ago, or comic shops lost out on many years ago, except for a few publishers that do that themselves, like, Boom Studios does that.
Right.
But really, that would be a good option. If you wanted to start, you give that option to where you can return the cover or whatever it is, and you get a credit for unsold items, just like how magazines work.
Right.
So what's your thoughts on just trying to get the ball rolling from scratch?
Well, I mean, we've been in such a mode for so long where comic shops automatically know, if they start up, they have to go to Diamond.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the way it's been for so long. There's no sales. There's no relationship. Here's our website. Here's our monthly solicits. There you go.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's been for a long time. Now, with DC going to new distributors, I don't know if they're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
The right way to get the ball rolling is to start a relationship with the local comic shops. Hey, I'm a new distributor. This is what I can offer you.
Yeah.
This is what I can offer you that the other guy isn't. What are you going to give me that's going to make me want to go with your company rather than what I'm getting now?
Yeah.
And one of the things that would get me? Personal relationship. Yeah. Somebody that shows me that they actually care.
I think the harder thing would be just to be the distributor for the publisher. How do you convince Marvel to go over to something brand new? Or how do you convince DC or Image or whoever? And there's contracts involved and all that stuff. And I really
there is.
Don't need to get into that, to be honest, because we don't really know. But there's definitely contracts and exclusives and stuff like that. So that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Right.
But the conversation with Marvel or DC and trying to sell yourself, that's not an easy conversation.
It isn't, because again, we've had one distributor for so long. That's the only conversation in town. There's not a lot of competition there. And there's there's no other distributors out there. So you got to start from scratch.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are distributors that distribute magazines and books and things like that. But listen, they're in a whole other game. And, unless they wanted to start distributing comics, then you're starting out from scratch.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's a much larger uphill battle for somebody starting out that way.
Much so. You got the next one as well.
Sure.
There you go. Ramon
Aroka. He says, Bueller, my man, keep up the great work. Also, love the Shannon Mirror Variant A Venom cover. I do too, buddy. I have my cover coming on the way.
Yep.
Really, really awesome cover. I really don't like having one main distribution company for comics. The shutdown really hurt a lot of comic shops. People with bills and families, it really sucks to see people hurting from that. I wish things would be more spread out to avoid future problems like the recent one. That's a great point.
It is a great point. And this is one thing I want to cover. And obviously with the whole COVID thing that I'm shutting down, and it kind of shed some light into the health of Diamond, a little bit more so than there was before. And they were already kind of hurting before all this.
Yeah.
And this is a scary thing, okay? What if Diamond shuts down? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they weren't doing tremendously well.
No.
This puts another chink in the armor, okay? They're having a promotion right now, back to comeback type thing. What if they go down? Well, I mean, just put that out there. We have one distributor. They go down. All of a sudden, there's no comics at all. They're not going out. That's why I personally think that there should be more than one option out there, more than one distributor. If you have more than one, then the other one can pick up the slack.
Right.
Okay? But if there's just one, and they go down, and they can't pay their bills, and they file for bankruptcy, Chapter 11, whatever it is, that's it. Where do you go? Where does Marvel go? Where does DC go to put out all these books that have been going out for 20 some odd years through Diamond, and now they are no longer there? There is nobody at that door.
The shoe's finally on the other foot. Remember back to our earlier videos when I was talking about the fact that if DC went down, the whole comic industry would go down because that's 23% of the market share for Diamond distributors.
I don't believe that.
And you're like, oh, doom and gloom, Bob.
Yep.
Right? This is something that I've been afraid of for a long time, right? With DC pulling out, they just lost 23% of their market share. Now, I don't know if that's true because I heard that DC still kind of is going to go through Diamond to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how much of actual market share they're losing at this particular point. But that is something that I've been afraid of for a long time. Diamond was surviving off of minimum margins as it was. Yeah. And if they do go down, you're right. There's no other option out there. What do you do?
Yeah.
It would either force the issue or the industry would collapse, which is something I've been afraid of for a long time.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. It's when you brought up that question, it affects a lot of people. Their friends and family. It does. I mean, not only Diamond. If they were to go down, then the LCSs will probably go down as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they can't get their new books for that time period, whatever time period it takes for a distributor to step in and take over that thing. It's not an overnight process.
Right.
Can stores withstand that again? No, they can't.
Yeah, no.
They can't. We just got word that one of our LCSs is closing.
Right.
They've been here for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And kind of surprising that one's closing, to be honest, because they've got a pretty big backer behind them.
Yeah.
But it's closing the doors, and a lot of people are losing shops. I was on a live stream the other day on another channel, and people are like, "Oh, my LCS closed for good. My LCS closed for good." If another hit like this happens, not related to any virus or nothing like that, just money in general, and things shut down, and there's a 2 or 3 or 4 month gap, it would be devastating.
Absolutely.
It would be devastating. And it's kind of scary to think that that's the only option in town right now. And when you see their financials and all the stuff that happened and with just recently, man, they're not dealing with a lot of cash in the bank right now.
No.
I mean, it's just not there to weather the storm, and that's unfortunate.
The whole situation scares me to death, quite honestly, when it comes to this, because a lot of comic shops were running on bare minimum margins as it is.
Yeah.
You had so many shops talking about people not picking up their books from their pull list that was hurting them.
Yeah.
This has been a great blow. My hat's off to a lot of shops that were able to stay open, but I'm so saddened every day I hear about more and more LCL shops closing for good.
Yeah.
And it's just ultimately sad. And if having multiple distributors out there, I just my question is, with the COVID-19 thing, would it have made a difference? Would it have really made a difference? Because I think if they would have all done the right thing, they all would have had to shut down.
Yeah.
Truthfully.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know if there was any good solution for that, but it does show the chink in the armor for the whole industry.
Yeah.
And I think that going forward, it's a much harder solution than just everything opening back up.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it plays out.
There you go. All right. Well, I got the next one. It looks like this is from Ian Fleetwood. It says Diamond UK, this is across the pond, have failed at times to import some comics, even when my LCS has put an order in for me. So someone else in the field should at least get through. You know what? How many times you go into your LCS and like, we didn't get that. It didn't show up.
Didn't show up.
Are they being honest? I don't know.
Right.
But I was short. We were short our shipment. We only got 2 copies. We were supposed to get 10. I hear that on a weekly basis.
All the time.
On a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And it's on titles. It's random. It's not necessarily a hot title. It could be any title.
Yeah.
And you'll hear that quite a bit. And hopefully they get those books back in. They never really know for sure. It's like, yeah, we let them know, but maybe they show up next week, maybe they don't. That's a problem, and that is something that I think competition would keep them in check to make sure that these orders are filled, 100% or 99.9% positive.
Absolutely.
And I think, like we were saying earlier, if you don't have any competition to keep you in check, it's like, they're going to be short. I don't know. I don't think they're doing it on purpose.
No.
But I don't think they're double checking their math.
No. And again, keeping the industry honest, keeping the distributor honest. That's what it comes down to. There's too many. We even had a comic book make fun of this, right?
Yeah.
Olympia.
Olympia.
Talked about.
Yes.
Diamond messed up again this
Yeah.
week, and which was funny to us, the end user, but it happens way too often.
Yes.
And this is one of those things where I would venture to say that in the UK, they probably have more problems than we have out here. And it's something that has to change.
Yeah. Olympia number 2, that's where that takes place. And the kid goes into the LCS to get a book, and the guy says, "Oh, we were short by Diamond," or something like that.
Yeah,
so
it was so good.
It's pretty funny. We got one last comment. You're up, Bob.
Sure thing. This one comes from James V. He says, definitely need more than one distributor for comics. I know these companies have contracts with each other, but when one goes down, it's like starting from scratch to get another. Can't be good for business.
Yeah. So that kind of sums up what we were saying.
Yeah.
And, if they go down, people are starting from scratch. How long does that take to build up to get things going again? I don't know. Months, I would think. Months, if at all. I mean, if here's the thing. Diamond goes down. I mean, this is really worst case scenario, obviously. Diamond goes down. Marvel and DC say, well, you know what? We'll just do digital. I mean, that could be another thing. That could lead to that. Is it going to? Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Is Diamond going to go down? Hopefully not. I don't mean to sound like a negative Nelly or whatever you want to call it, but, there's possibilities, and things become more clear as time goes on. And, but, all in all, I think there should be more than one. Yeah. I think there should be more options available. I think that the market is ripe for someone to come in and put the time and effort into it and make a second option. And I think more often than not, LCSs and publishers will probably be okay with that. If they have the right business model. Sure. And it could only benefit everybody. It would even benefit Diamond, believe it or not. Yeah. I think their business practices would be much cleaner and much more approachable, and I think people would enjoy them more because it would be keeping them on par with another competitor and keeping them true to their word.
And they better themselves.
Yes.
I mean, with competition, it breeds excellence. It breeds that drive to become better. And I don't think Diamond has had a need to be better for a long time. And, again, that's a problem. Yeah. But, really when it comes down to it, the people that get hurt the most is first the shops, then the end user, and a lot of us have been clamoring for a change for a long time. Yeah. Having more than one distributor, I think, is a great start. We'll see how it plays out. Yeah,
you want to bang the table again?
That was it right there, man.
Kidding, man. With the microphone all weird and stuff. We want to hear from you guys. We already had a ton of comments on the other preview video, but what's your guys' thoughts on Diamond? If you haven't commented yet, please go ahead and do so. What's your thoughts on possibly another distributor? Do you think that going to Midtown was a good choice for DC for the time being? I don't really know the answer to that, but I'd like to hear from you guys. So please leave a comment down below, and I'd like to hear from you. So it's kind of a great conversation to have. It's something that's all on our minds as comic collectors about Diamond. We all know who they are. Yeah. We all worry about this. We've all looked at our books. Man, Diamond screwed up or something like that. Robbie. So, anyway, good times, good conversation. But let's flip gears and go to our final 5. Yes. And I will start. So if you want to grab your books. Yeah. I have some X-Men goodness. Why not? X-Men number 150. Love that cover. X-Men number 120, the first cameo of Alpha Flight. Nice. Some Canadian, goodness. X-Men 101, this is the first appearance of the Phoenix.
Love that book. Love that book.
An oldie, X-Men number 33, great condition. I love this Juggernaut cover. Yes. And then X-Men number 27, this might be my oldest, I could be wrong. But number 27, another great X-Men cover.
I missed the Mimic.
You do?
I do.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. All right. All right, you're up. Your final 5.
All right, my final 5, I just picked a bunch of random DC books because I wanted to show some DC love. So I got Detective Comics number 1021, which is actually a pretty recent one. I got Robin number 3. This is the lenticular 3D, whatever you want to call it, cover. I got Batman number 21. That's a key issue.
Is it?
I don't remember what it's key issue for.
That's all right. We don't work with details here.
I know. Huh? We got Sword of Azrael number 1, done by my favorite artist, Joe Quesada. And then The Death of Superman, still in its poly bag.
Can I open that?
Nope.
Oh, man. It's just a plastic bag.
And since we're still talking about Shannon Muir this week, I figured I'd put up as a final one of my favorite of his covers, the Year of the Villain Harley Quinn cover.
Very cool.
There you go.
Another great cover. I just want to remind everyone, Shannon Muir, this Friday, 5:30, somewhere in there, Pacific Standard Time, live stream. Going to be joining us, going to be talking about variants and a bunch of other stuff. Bob will be there with me
can't wait.
for a little bit. You know what? Looking forward to having him. Like I said, he's a fan of the show. He's a friend of mine. I've talked to him every now and then and stuff, so I'm really happy to have him on and really talk about variants. I'm curious to see the process. One thing I want to talk about, the process of having him licensed to do a comic or an exclusive comic for someone type thing. Yeah. I want to know about that process, and hopefully he'll share that with us. So I think it'd be kind of cool. Also, I want to remind everyone, Hero and the Kid, this week, or Sunday, Ryan Stegman is going to be on the channel. His first interview with the creator, Ryan Stegman. He's starting out with a bang. I mean, really, that's pretty cool. So check that out. The link is down below for Hero and the Kid. But Bob, let me give it to you for a second because you have a channel and you got a video coming out on Thursday, correct?
I do. I have one coming out on Thursday. First of all, Everything Comics is the channel. Normally, I drop Having Comics with my coffee on Saturdays. This week, I wasn't feeling so hot, so my coffee video will actually be dropping Monday afternoon after our video drops. And then this Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are having a live stream with a bunch of different people. Bueller from Comics with Bueller, Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers, Dylan from Dylan's Comics, and then we also have Will, and we also have the Hero. We have Sean himself. Hero and the Kid are going to be there, and we are going to have another battle royale when it comes to drafting a team. We're going to do the Avengers. It's going to be awesome.
That sounds horrible.
Yes, that's horrible, huh? Well, we'll see how you do, my friend.
I did good last time.
You did.
I did good. I got the X-Men team knocked out of the park.
Knocked out of the park. I was last. It's okay.
Sugar Man.
Anyway, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time this Thursday. Don't miss it. We need your help because you, in the live chat, you're the ones that are going to help us with the votes. Yeah. And we need you there.
That's right. Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it. It was a great time last time we did it. So apparently we can use any comic book character?
Any comic book character.
Man, you just opened the door for me.
I did, man.
Benny and Veronica are on my team.
There you go. If that's your Avengers team, then let's go for it. But you have to have a reason for it.
I always got a reason.
All right.
Also, real quick, I want to let everyone know that on the other channel, my other one, the Travis T, it looks like this coming Wednesday, the BS show should be back.
Woo!
I haven't heard from Sam, but I'm pretty sure he's up for it.
Pretty sure.
New comics are coming out. You know, we can go get our lunch and coffee and come back home and do the BS show for the first time in like 3 months. If you're not familiar with the BS show, you're lucky.
Yeah.
Because it is a interesting show to say the least.
That's for sure.
And it's on the other channel, Travis T. So if you want to check that out, the link is down below. Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing our good friend Sam again.
So good. I can't wait to see Sam again.
Yeah, should be really good. All right, everybody, that's all we got for you. Appreciate your time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know what to do. We'll see you next week. Bye.